Hey guys, a few people there just coming in now. If you can hear me, I just want to get a little bit of interaction, see if everybody can kind of hear me and that. So just give me a little, you should be able to see the little chat box, perhaps. And if you can, just put a little number 1 in the chat box, just so I know that you can kind of hear what's going on. There you go. Amanda, how are you doing?
Hi, Amanda.
Hope you had a good Christmas and New Year. So give us a number 1, and then we just know that we've got a bit of volume and you can see the screen, and we'll take it from there. But we're expecting double figures on this webinar today, so we'll just let a few people join. I think a couple of people are late. Got a few people there, including Claire, I think is...
Yeah, I recognise that name, Claire. We're going to be seeing Claire soon.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, we've got a number 1 from Claire as well. Okay, so like I said, a couple of minutes and then we're going to crack on. Basically, you're not going to need to take any notes or anything like that for this webinar, but you will need to kind of pay attention. We're going to go through some pretty good information, actually. In fact, it's information that's been developed through years of delivering the Conquer Food program, and just before Christmas we did a little survey and kind of said, what is your number 1 problem or challenge or whatever in your health and fitness right now, and the unresounding, if that's the right word, response was emotional eating or addiction to sugar or cravings, which has sort of led us to put this training together. In order to get on this training, you may have downloaded the little 1-page cheat sheet that I created, that I will do this now process. If you haven't and you want to get your hands on that, then just type me into the chat box and I'll make sure a copy gets to you after this webinar. But it's basically one page, kind of Amanda, I'll get it to you, don't worry. 1 page where you can counteract cravings pretty quickly. It's basically 5 steps. There's like 3 questions that you ask yourself plus 2 steps that you take in order to beat the cravings and all that kind of stuff. And it's really powerful. Some people that have come on the Conquer Food program have just cherry-picked a few little strategies and techniques that we use and ran with them and had some great results, and that is one that people have had some great results with. So that's that. Okay, but we're gonna crack on. I think we'll get a couple more people as we go through, but we're gonna carry on anyway. And there will be a few bits where we kind of ask for a little bit of interaction from you guys. All right, so make sure you're paying attention and let us know if you've got any questions in that. Okay, so before we start, obviously Amanda, we know you, Claire, we know you from your recent inquiry and the fact that you're coming to camp, and there's a couple of people there I don't recognise the names. So basically, I'd quite like to introduce yourself. So say hi in the little chat box if you're with us. Let's have a little look at you. And what I'll do is I'll kind of just let Paula introduce herself a little bit, because Paula doesn't often do these webinars. So I'm going to get you involved straight away.
That's really cool.
So in 5 words or less, just introduce it. I'm just kidding. Just spend a bit of time, just introduce what you do at camp and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so I'm Paula. Hello, guys. I at camp head up the Conquer Food program, and that actually comes from a massive passion. It comes from me being somebody who really had struggled with food for the entirety of my life. I was a tiny child who used to hide food in my pillowcase in case I woke up in the night and needed...
It's unbelievable. Every time we do something like this, something new comes out.
New things. In case I woke up in the middle of the night and needed a little sugar snack. Right up literally until my early 40s, food was my crutch. Food was I thought, my best friend. So it's something that... It's really difficult for me to put it into words, actually. It's something that I feel so strongly about. And if you are somebody who is addicted to sugar, especially, it can completely control and affect your life. So being able to say now that I've tackled my sugar demons, the most important thing for me is to pass on and share what I've learned along the way. And also help people to relieve themselves of those demons, to feel free. Actually, Craig asked me the other day what it meant to me, how it made me feel, and I feel free being free of sugar brings freedom in on all aspects of my life. And so that's what I do. That's my role at camp, to look after my conquer foodie babies, as I call them. Yeah, that's me.
Okay, and now I'll introduce myself a little bit more as the training goes on. Before we get going, let me just sort of frame what we're going to do tonight. I want you to bear in mind that this is going to be totally different from any other kind of training or instruction that you've had from fitness professionals before. We pride ourselves on doing things differently. Our business name, TEAM Bootcamp, the team stands for Think, Eat and Move Differently, or Think, Eat and Move Better. So this is going to be very different, a different path, different information. It's not going to be, well, you need to get yourself in a gym. It's not going to be, well, you just need to stop eating chocolate then, because how many times and for how long have we heard this stuff and we're still struggling? Okay, so this is going to be quite different. It's also going to be quite a pivotal moment in your health and fitness quest, really. One of those moments, the real standout moment where you kind of go, you know what, something changed, something switched, something is now different, and I'm destined for different stuff. So it truly is going to be a moment, and if we're falling short of that, let us know, ask your questions, and we'll make sure that we hit the mark. So this is what we're going to do, the 50-minute sugar and binge eating rut buster breakthrough training. Bit of a mouthful, but this kind of explains what we're going to do. We're going to give you enough information to kind of get you out of the rut that you might find yourself in. And you might be watching this thinking, well, actually, all I want to do is lose a lot of weight, or I just want to kickstart some fitness or whatever. That doesn't mean you're in the wrong place. What we found, and Paula, maybe you'll back me up on this, is that people want to lose weight, but that is like the twigs on a tree. That's like the little branches, the little twigs on a tree. Actually, the big trunks of the tree are the fact that they eat too much sugar, overeat on fast or fatty foods, can't get a grip of the healthy eating, don't like tasty food, don't actually like exercise that much, or perhaps starting to like it a little bit now. And it's actually, that's the kind of rut that they're in. The weight that they've perhaps put on and the sedentary lifestyle is a byproduct of all those things. Sorry for not saying. I need to get used to this. Yeah, I totally agree. I think mindset is the most important aspect of it. One of the things that I'm always saying to people when they want to come to camp is, you come to camp for a week or 12 weeks, however long, and you're going to lose weight. That's an absolute given. If you follow the program and you eat the food that's given, you will lose weight, and at the end of it you'll feel amazing. But if you've not changed your mindset, if you've not looked at the reasons that you put the weight on in the first place, you will go home and another guarantee is that you'll put it back on. And that's why people say diets don't work, because what we're trying to do is change our habits with the same mindset. So it's all about the mindset for me. Brilliant. Okay, so what actually translates to is we're going to talk about the mindset. We're going to give you some models to change, and then line you up with a bit of motivation. And who don't want a little bit of extra motivation? Amanda's comments just popped up there. Lost 5 stone just coming for 1 day boot camps, which is incredible. If we had a load of Amandas, it'd be amazing. Amanda, I didn't actually know it was 5 stone. That is incredible. Incredible. Wow. Brilliant. Okay, so and like we said, we want you to learn more about conquering food and conquering sugar and all this kind of stuff in 1 hour. The most binge eaters will ever know, and actually I believe that most fitness professionals will ever know. When we get a young green trainer come and work with us, they don't know this stuff. They know how to do a press up and they know how to do a squat, but they don't know the big drivers behind some of our behaviour and how to change it. And when they learn it, they become just immense trainers through having that experience. So you're in for quite a big information dump, really. Okay, so you might be thinking, well, is this for me? Because you might be a certain weight, you might be overweight, you might be underweight, you might be fit, you might not be fit. So you really might be thinking, I'm not sure if I'm in the right place. So let me kind of spell it out a little bit. If you at any time can't stop either binging, as in you go into the shop, you're buying a basket full of chocolate, crisps or anything like that, and you have little binges and perhaps followed by a purge, or you're just, you're just generally overeating or eating way too much sugar. And what I mean by that is anything more than sort of 25 grams of sugar a day. To put that into perspective, you know, the average innocent smoothie is, I don't know, it's about 35 grams of sugar per bottle. So, you know, it's not a lot of sugar, but it means we're eating sugar to excess. And do you have sugar cravings? I mean, Paula, you know, think back to not too long ago when you was doing your little binges and stuff like that. I mean, what are some of the traits that you? What were you doing? You
know? I would wake up in the morning and the first thing that I thought about was food, and it would normally be sweet food. It was, you know, I would have ate rhubarb crumble and custard with a little bit of ice cream and cream every morning for breakfast, if I could. At my worst, I would make excuses every day at camp, ask people what they needed from the shops. I would go to Asda, I would fill a basket full of Binge food, and for me Binge food was cakes, Haribos, M&Ms, donuts, everything sweet. I would stop on the way home, I would eat the whole lot, and then I would go back to camp and pretend to everyone at lunchtime that I was being really good because I didn't want any lunch.
With sugar around the mouth.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, so, you know, if that sounds like you, then, you know, you're in the right place. If you're lacking the motivation and determination to get started, motivation gets you going, determination keeps you going. And if you're kind of lacking that, and that little picture of that dog there kind of explains or describes it all, you know, you really are caught in a rut and you're like, I know I should be going to the gym, or I know I should be training, or I know I should be eating healthy, or, you know, I really should choose this bloody apple over this Mars bar or whatever, then you're in the right place. I mean, Paul, how long did you battle with sort of trying to get motivated and determined enough to make a change? Yeah,
for years and years and years, literally.
And how did it feel like when not when you actually cracked it, but before? I mean, you know, did you feel like smothered or?
No, I felt desperate.
Yeah,
I did. I felt absolutely desperate, and I felt like such a hypocrite because by this time I was part of TEAM Bootcamp. I had a boot camp, and I was still struggling with food, and you know, I'd talk to people and just desperate. That's the only word I can use.
Okay, perhaps.
There you go. Actually, I'd feel like a guilt-ridden failure.
Yeah, and I think this is what kind of happens. You know, we have this. You know, everything we do kind of either works towards momentum or works against momentum, and we end up with momentum in our life. And I kind of wonder, and I'm going to ask you now. You know, where is the momentum heading in your life right now? You know, if we took a snapshot of today, where is your weight and health going down? Your weight and your ill health going down, or is your weight and health, you know, getting worse or whatever, you know? So where is the momentum? And quite often what we've done, and when we meet people on the Conquer Food program, is we find people that are so ridden with guilt and have got this history of just failing time and time again, because we say to ourselves, right, today I'm not eating sugar, today I'm not going to have donuts, I'm not doing this, I'm not having a glass of wine, I'm not, you know, all this kind of stuff, and yet, you know, we find we're doing exactly the same habits not long afterwards. Amanda's saying she knows that feeling, and Claire does too. Emotionally, I binge and hate myself for it. And this is exactly what we're talking about. It's this guilt, and you know what? This guilt is some of the most destructive emotions that you can carry around with you, because it kind of knocks you off the wagon. You can do really, really well, and then you sort of you fall off the wagon a little bit, and you have like a little cheat or a little binge or whatever, and you're just riddled with guilt to the point where you're like, sod it, throw in the towel, I'm done, you know, back to it on Monday or whatever. And guilt is really, you know, really destructive thing. In fact, I was talking to two ladies today at camp, and one guy, one lady, and they basically both said, there's no point getting started because I fail every time. And you know, if that is a dialogue that you've had in your own mind in the past, then you're kind of in the right place. You know, you're watching the right thing, and we're gonna look at that. We're gonna talk about each one of those. Okay, so Paula described herself a little bit. Let me describe me. I hate putting this picture up. This was me, chubby. I was in the Marines, supposed to be one of the fittest young lads in the country, and I was actually Parker. You know, how I didn't get harpooned on that beach, I have no idea. But through a long series of sort of testing and adjusting and mentorship and training, I kind of, I learned to conquer my appetite and my food and all that kind of stuff. And I lost weight, and that sort of led me into the fitness industry, of which I've now wrote a couple of books. We've trained countless celebrities, Paula, different celebrities.
Yeah, I've just noticed, sorry to interrupt. Wait, Emma, hello, my lovely.
Well, go on, you can read her thing and I'll carry on chatting away. So I had a real struggle, and I always sort of say that life was pretty desperate before I kind of got a grip of food, and it was a real struggle. I remember sort of at my lowest point, like picking pizza out of the bin at my brother's. My brother answered the door to me eating pizza out of his bin, and he was like, "Craig, what the hell are you doing?" And I was just like, "Free pizza," and I jumped to bits with my free pizza, and that's kind of how it was. When things went on for a couple of years, I had a bit of mentorship from one incredible personal trainer that had he actually had the demeanour of a rattlesnake, but his knowledge was phenomenal. Led me into the fitness industry and obviously the bootcamp world, where I met an amazing woman that you can see on the picture there, punching me in the chin, which I'm sure she wants to do every day. And this is kind of where my life changed. Not just because, I had oops, what the hell's gone on? Not just because we had a new business and all this kind of stuff, but because I got such an insight into the life of a binge eater and a sugar eater. Because, Paula, you lived that life for a long time, and to see it from my point of view gave us as a couple a really, really unique take on it all, because we kind of see things from both sides. I was the one that was being lied to. Paula was the one being lied, doing the lying and all this kind of stuff, and hiding and all this, and it was a real tough time for a while. Yeah,
actually, I digress, but not digress, if that makes sense. But one of the things that set us on the path for the new life, so to speak, is Craig and I actually met at another boot camp. We used to work at another boot camp. And at that boot camp, I lost loads and loads and loads of weight. So when Craig and I first met, I was really quite fit and slender, but I still had exactly the same food habits. I was still binge eating terribly, but I was training it off. And when we actually opened TEAM, I stopped training as much. I stopped trying to impress Craig as much, but I stopped training as much because I was so busy. All of my habits were still the same, so I was still binge eating, I was still struggling with food, and actually piled the weight back on in immense proportions. And I think that was the real kind of bell ding moment, that mindset is so important. It's everything,
Yeah, well, like you said, we kind of we opened up our some great comments coming through, by the way. Emma, it's great to have you on the webinar as well. Hope you had a good New Year and a good Christmas. We basically set up TEAM Bootcamp, which was fantastic. We decided we was going to do this bootcamp thing ourselves, but what would be different? And what we decided to do was look at these root causes why people are overeating and binge eating, all this kind of stuff. And we put together a very specific program for creating deep-rooted change. And fundamentally, that's kind of what was different. I got this picture here. Some of you will have met these guys. I just want to, put a bit of proof, if you like, or I don't know, get your mouth watering a little bit. At the top left, as you look at it, we've got Sam. Sam came to us for 12 weeks. He's a chef. He's surrounded by food all the time. And kind of piled the weight on after university. What are you smiling at?
I'm just really looking, yeah.
And, he went away after 12 weeks, just making incredible difference. Next to him, following it round to the right is Priya, just a beautiful lady that just absolutely blossomed at camp. We're going to talk a little bit more about her later on. On the far right, we've got Adam. Adam was with us for 12 months. He was our original long-termer, lost over 100 kilos.
Yeah, he did. And coming from Belgium, that picture of Adam was on the journey on the way over to camp, on the boat, on the ferry.
Yeah, and this is just before Christmas this year when we did a little podcast episode with him.
Yeah.
And then this lady, very similar to you actually, Amanda, she is called Sally, and she came about 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
And she's a teacher. She couldn't give up a lot of time, as most people can't. You know, they can't give up 12 weeks of their life. They perhaps can't afford it. They can't have time away from the kids, time away from their family or whatever. And she came for like, I think it was a week, and grabbed everything she could and went away and just lost an incredible amount of weight while she was at home. And she kept in touch with us, and you know, and incredible to see. So that's some of the people that we've kind of had through the gates, plus countless others. What else have we done recently? A bit of work with the Jeremy Kyle Show, where we've become like the extreme weight loss resident experts on the Jeremy Kyle Show. We usually do like 1 or 2 shows every quarter where we get someone new from the Jeremy Kyle Show. That just this program just would not even register in their life. You know what I mean? It just wouldn't even be an opportunity they could consider. But they get it through the Jeremy Kyle Show, and we get a lot of exposure from that. So that's kind of us. We're not even into the teaching yet, but what about you guys? I know you write some comments down there. Emma, that's such a beautiful picture of you two. Like punching me in the face. So what about you guys? You know, I know, Amanda, you've shared your little story a little bit, but you know, tell us a little bit about you guys. Have a little bit of interaction, then we'll get into some of this teaching. So what we got? Paula said something very important on one of the podcasts. You can go to many bootcamps and get fit or fitter and lose weight, but if your mindset is not in the right place, you'll go back to your original unhealthy habits with food. Paul, you also, it's a bit awkward reading this thing, but Paul, you also just mentioned it a while ago. So much is related to your mindset. It really is.
I can't. Emma, you are completely right. And for those of you that don't know, Emma's just finished a stint at camp and did amazingly well, and she was wonderful and embraced the mindset in beautiful ways. It is everything. It is everything, and not just with regards to food and binge eating. For every aspect of your life, it's your mind, your language, how you view the world and yourself is integral to the kind of life that you lead.
That's a great comment there. If not for your Conquer Food group, it would have been a struggle for me. Maybe, you know, Emma, how's life now? You know, how's it been over Christmas? I know you and Warren have really been sort of kicking into it, but you know, how have you got on? Let us know. Right, a few comments coming through there now. Paula's going to keep an eye on that whilst I sort of carry on with stuff, and then Paula's going to chirp in as we go along. What I want you to do, I want you to stick around on this. You know, listen out to the training. I know you're going to get a lot of information from the training, certainly stuff to think about. But we have got a little bit of a gift at the end, or a bit of a bonus at the end of the webinar. So stick around, and you'll catch up with that. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to. The human mind loves working in threes, and the mind, it really loves, you know, anything to do with sort of threes. We remember them quite easy. Usually, if we remember a telephone number, we bang the numbers out in threes, or you know, whatever. We're going to give you. So we're going to talk about the mindset, and we're going to give you some models to consider and to implement into your own life, and then some motivation. So that's the 3 M's that we're going to kind of work through as the steps for this training. So let's crack on. Basically, in order to have true change in your life, you've kind of got to look at some of these deep-rooted values and beliefs and thoughts that you've got. Okay. Now I know this is not new to you, but what I wanted to do is I want to encourage you to write down some of the beliefs that you've got around food. What are your beliefs around fitness? What are your beliefs around your health and your image? You know, and what do you sort of truly believe about that? It sounds like you is.
Yeah. I was just going to. Greg's written something on here, and he says when he's in the right frame of mind, he can stay there. But it's when you come out of that, getting back into it, and staying in that frame of mind that's the really difficult thing. And this is actually the key to it, Greg. You've really touched on something there, and that's, you know, a lot of what we do on the Conquer Food program. It's almost living your life as the person that you want to be, and having a massive big why. And what I mean by that, Emma, what do I mean by that is that your reason for not wanting to eat unhealthy food, your reason for not wanting to binge anymore, needs to be bigger than your reason for for doing it. Sorry, Craig's just tapped me on the foot there because I'm fidgeting.
No, you're not fidgeting. We talk about this.
Oh, sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
Yeah, jumping ahead a little bit, but it's fine. It's good that it's far better that we have the interaction than,
Okay.
So great comment. Greg, good to hear from you again, mate. I hope you've had a good Christmas and good New Year. Basically, whilst we're on this idea about belief change and this thing, let's just sort of talk about the main frustrations with regards to changing beliefs and and how these beliefs affect us. And quite often we see these beliefs as like brick walls that are just like unconquerable, if that's a word. The one frustration we see is that we have this belief that things are never going to be different, that we're always doomed for failure. No matter what we try, we're just going to end up back how we were. And I wonder if that's some of the kind of the beliefs that you've got. And obviously we start this cycle then of just like beating ourselves up because we constantly fail, and there's nothing more demotivating than this history of failure. Do you agree, Paula?
Yeah, absolutely. You
can chirp in on any of these any time you want.
Okay.
So that's like the biggest frustration. We're going to show you how you can sort of beat that. And the next biggest frustration that we get, number 2, is that the feeling that nothing is working, that you've kind of tried everything. Now it's impossible that you've tried everything, truly everything, but I'm pretty sure you've tried a lot in your quest to sort out your eating, stop binge eating, emotional eating, sort your weight out, find a love of fitness and all this kind of stuff. I'm pretty sure you've tried a hell of a lot. Nothing is working. Now there are a few reasons for that, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And one of the reasons is that quite often the information that you get is not really from a credible source. It's from someone who's just always been fit, have always had a great image, who've never really had to battle food. And they kind of spout all sorts of stuff, and we follow them on Facebook and YouTube and all this, and they don't know what it's like to really sort of struggle with food and what have you. And then the next one is that they kind of believe that I'll always be like this. I used to say it all the time to myself, I'll always be, I'm big boned, it runs in my family, all my family are big, so therefore I'm going to be big. And I just believed that this is how it was always going to be.
Yeah, me too, but the person that's popped into my head when I see this is James, a guy that we've had at camp recently. He's lost 23 stone. He was with us for 11 months. And he said it was actually his family that sent us to him because James had just become a recluse. And he said, just before he came to camp, he'd come to the conclusion that he was worthless, that he couldn't change, nothing was working. So he decided that he was just going to eat what he wanted and die early.
Yeah, that's what he believed.
Yeah.
And these beliefs, it sets our destiny. But the crappy thing is that these beliefs are quite often untrue. We used to believe that the world was flat. We used to believe, actually in medieval times, we used to believe that if we sat down too quick, we would shatter because we was made of glass. We used to believe all these crazy things. We used to believe that the sun went around the earth and all these kind of things. And as science develops and all this kind of stuff, what we learn is that these beliefs that we once had are no longer true.
I'll tell you something that is true, and that's that your beliefs right now are true right at this moment. And the only way that they can be anything other than true is to change them. So you have to change your beliefs. You have to. If you think you're rubbish, you'll be rubbish. If you think you're fat, you'll be fat.
So here we've got this little diagram here that I kind of knocked up. I know, Craig, age 5, it's shocking, but it kind of paints the picture. What we believe, or what we usually think that happens, is we have a thought in our conscious mind, and that thought then transpires into our actions, which then creates our behaviours, and then ultimately that generates our results. So that isn't actually what happens. And the reason why beliefs are so important and so powerful in your weight loss and food and emotional eating and all that kind of stuff is we have a thought in our conscious mind. I'm not going to have cake. It then has to pass through our subconscious mind, and the little devil gets hold of it then. The little devil's like, oh, you reckon you're going to not have cake today? Wow, I'm going to change that because I believe that you cannot go into a coffee shop and not have cake, or I cannot believe that you're going to get through today with the low energy that you've got without having this cake, or this is the last time you're going to get, last chance you're going to have cake today, so get it down you because there's a shortage of cake and all this kind of stuff. We have all these Amanda's saying she knows the devil really well. The devil gets hold of it, but the devil is made up of our beliefs, our values, our traits, different locations, and all this kind of stuff. So what we want to give you is like a 5-step process for kind of changing these beliefs, and it does take a bit of time. This is not an instant fix. It takes a lot of awareness, and it takes a lot of persistence, but it's definitely doable.
It takes practice.
Yeah,
it absolutely takes practice.
If I was to associate what goes on to anything, I would associate it to that of an autopilot on a plane. So imagine now that this plane takes off from the airport, and we're flying to wherever you want to go. Where do you want to go, Paula?
I would like to go to Fiji.
Fiji is a great destination. So we set the autopilot to take us to Fiji. And this is a lot like our beliefs and values. We have this self-image of what we're going to become or how things are going to be for the rest of our life. And then every now and again, we kind of get blown off course by, in the plane example, it might be wind or a bird strike or another aircraft or whatever, but something changes our course of our direction. For us, we might go on a diet, we might start an exercise regime, we might go to boot camp for a week or whatever, but something changes. But what happens is that autopilot always brings us back to our original destination, and we cannot get away from that unless we change what we believe our self-image to be. If you believe that you're always going to be an overeater, you might do a couple of weeks of undereating and losing weight and making great progress, but your autopilot is going to bring you back, and this is why we kind of fail unless we create some kind of deep-rooted change. Anything to add, Paula?
Yes, I did have something, but now maybe
it'll come back to you.
Gone.
If you could think about it, what would it be? All right, little success story before we go into the little 5-step thing. Paula, do you want to talk about Priya?
Yeah, I will talk about Priya actually. I was going to butt in and tell you because when Priya first came to camp and I had my first one-to-one session with her, she nearly broke my heart. I had to, that tightness you get in your throat when you're fighting back your tears, because this young lady, she believed that she was ugly, fat, worthless, unlovable, everything you can possibly imagine in a derogatory manner about yourself. Priya felt. And she was with us for 6 months. And again, she was somebody who totally embraced the mindset, totally embraced it. She just took it on board. She practiced it. She'd even have kind of rows with people at home, and we'd discuss the language she could use and how it was affecting her. And you've only got to look at her picture to see the difference in that young woman. She was like a butterfly. She just emerged into this beautiful woman on the inside and the outside, and who loves herself. Who loves herself enough to nurture herself, and sorry, I can feel myself going on and on and on.
It was almost, for me, it was like watching
just incredible,
like a slow motion female Clark Kent, like running along, and every step just ripping off a new bit of fat clothing and just exposing this beautiful. With the glasses came off, the hair came down. Suddenly we have highlights in the hair. We were sprinting instead of it was just an incredible transformation.
Sorry.
And a true change of somebody's belief of who they are.
Yeah, absolutely. A complete change. And I get so proud of these people because I know what it's like to walk in their shoes.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to think that you are just nothing and that you're worthless, and that every time you go and binge you feel wretched and you think it's never going to end. And to see people stop it and change their lives and become who they want to be is, I can't put it into words. Sorry.
No, it's been I struggle because I've pretty much always been awesome. Okay, so let's give you the secrets then to what helped Priya and so many others change their beliefs. Pretty simple in when we outline them. A little bit tough to put them into practice. It does take a little bit of persistence, a little bit of practice, and really work these steps. Some people sort of say, well, these steps don't work. It's the fact that they didn't work the steps. Okay, you've got to work the steps. First one, step one, awareness. You've got to become aware of these beliefs. Because until you're aware of them, you're not going to be able to challenge them. You're not going to be able to change them. So, be very aware of the language that you're using when you describe yourself, you know, and become very aware of the language that other people use, because quite often when you're observing someone else, you can see the traits that you display yourself. You know, you can pick up on people saying, oh yeah, I know that, I do that, I'm doing, you know, all these beliefs. It comes out in people's language. So, you know, awareness is a big thing, and, you know, constantly reviewing what you're saying and what you're believing about yourself, or even sit down with a blank piece of paper and write me in the middle, you know, what are your beliefs about yourself, and get them down there. Be completely honest, because there is no change without honesty, you know, and really work on the awareness. Anything?
Yeah, there are some things that I just want to say to that. The first thing is, I'm going over what Craig's saying a little bit, but it's something that I've decided I'm going to say to my new Conquer Food group on Sunday. So I'm going to share it with you guys first.
Whoa,
now. And that
exclusive.
is, imagine what would happen if you came to camp, or you went to the gym, you went to see your personal trainer, and he sat down for you for 4 hours every morning, or, you know, every day, and told you how to do a burpee and how to run properly. So all of your lessons were complete theory. Do you think you'd get fitter? No.
Oh, was that a question to me?
Yeah, I'm asking you. Do you think you'd get fitter?
Depends how far you was walking to the gym.
Do you think you'd lose weight? No, you wouldn't.
Amanda saying no.
No.
Yeah.
And it's the same with your mindset. You know, something that can be really frustrating is to talk to people over and over again. We need to change this. We need to look at this. We need to be aware of this. And they just walk out and then say it doesn't work because they don't practice it. You need to practice this more than you practice anything. So right from this moment, be aware of who you are and what you want to be. Become the person you want to be. And that comes through awareness. If, for example, tomorrow morning you feel that you need to have a binge, then binge with awareness. Because anybody who binges will know, just like me, that you shove that food down your throat and you don't even really realise that you're eating it. Do it and be aware of it. Aware of what you're putting into your body. Aware of actually what you're doing. Do it with awareness, because the way you respond to it will be completely different. I'm not telling everybody, I'm using that as an analogy. I'm not telling everyone to go and binge tomorrow.
That, you know, when you're on your way to binge, you know, what you're saying to yourself. You know, as you're buying the things, what is going on in your internal dialogue? You know, how are you justifying it? What's around you? Who are you with? What are you doing? What time of day is it? Is it a particular day of the week? All these things, just become acutely aware of what is going on. Okay, so I think we've smashed on with the old with step one. There's loads of comments coming in. Let's just have a little look through this. People agreeing, yeah, good with that.
Claire, I can't wait to get you to camp.
Now it's from LP. I'm still. Yeah, learn by doing. Yeah, okay, good. So we got the awareness thing across. Claire, can't wait to get there. Brilliant. Okay, next one then. Once you're aware of what you're saying and therefore what your beliefs are and your values are and all that kind of stuff, then you can start to change the language. And there's just, you know, there's a few subtle changes that you can use to really transform your life. I always tell a story about a guy that came to us from the Jeremy Kyle show called Jonathan, and Jonathan was, you know, if I'm honest, he wasn't that bright, and he didn't get a lot of the strategies, the advanced stuff that Paula was working with him with. But what he did do is he grabbed two words, the word yet and the word but. And every time he said something, like a belief about himself, oh, I can't lose weight, he would say either yet or but, and we just got him to say yet or but afterwards, you know, yet or but, and that suggests that there is, you know, you can change, you know, that instead of making a belief statement that this is true, by adding a couple of little words, you can then open yourself up to the possibility of change, and that is where it all starts, you know, and say, you know, little things like, this is impossible. According to who? You know, according to what? Paula, what you got to add?
Well, just, you know, as far as language is concerned, it's the most powerful thing ever. And the one thing that I started to learn was that if I could talk myself into such terrible, destructive, bad habits, then we live in a world with opposites. then I must be able to talk myself into wonderful opportunities. And that's the power of language. And actually, I know Emma's mentioned NLP on here. That's what NLP is all about. It's about listening to your language, because our brains are an amazing machine, and they respond physiologically, emotionally, in every way to what we program into them. So if we're on a daily basis programming negative language into our body, our output will be negative. That's fact. That's our reality. If we start to program positive language, which is the one thing that especially people that come on the Conquer Food program really struggle with initially, because we've got years and years of habits of negativity and negative language to ourselves. Once we start changing that and talking to ourselves in a positive, loving way, our life then becomes positive and loving. And Greg, you mentioned something earlier about how do you get that back. The more positive your language becomes, the easier it comes to stay on the positive side. It's hard work initially, and this is where your awareness comes in, because you have to be aware of the language that you're using on a minute, hour, daily basis. And as soon as you become aware of it, then you change it. And that takes practice. And that's harder than burpees. That's harder than running around the paddock 10 million times. That's harder than 12 weeks training at boot camp. It takes constant practice. But believe me, when you start to live your life positively, it's the opportunities are limitless. And I say this, sorry Emma, because you've heard this a million times, I say this from my heart, not from a textbook, not from my degree or any of those things. This is coming from experience and from my heart, because I know.
Yeah, so little changes to your language makes a huge difference. Greg, I'm keeping up with your little thread that you've got going there, and that in itself, what you've said there exposes a belief. When I'm bored, I eat.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's a belief about yourself. Imagine if you said, when I'm bored, I used to eat. It's a tiny, tiny little change, but it could, what we're talking about here is breaking free of the rut. And the way to break free of a rut, you imagine when you're back, speeding along on your bike as a kid and you got caught in a little rut. Or when you're driving your wagon, and you get caught in a rut on one of the roads. The way to get out of that is to slow down. You've got to slow yourself down before you can then change direction. And the slightest change in language is the first step. And then, once you start saying it, you then start to readjust your belief, because it's like, yeah, I really did used to do that, but I don't anymore, So step 1, awareness. Step 2, change your language. Okay, next one then, step 3. But start to build a history of success. The reason why I chose the picture of the balls there, whatever they're called, the swinging balls, I know they've got some name. Have you seen my driving, Craig? You're straight through the rut. Let's go for it. But basically, what we do is if you imagine we had like a string, and along each string, every time we had an event, we put like a dot or a pearl on that string, and we'd end up with like a history of these events. Now, if your history of events are all negative, then we've momentum then, hence the picture of the little ball swinging there, the momentum, like Paula in the polls, yeah, she sees these challenges. The momentum is then with failure, and it takes a bit of effort to change that momentum. We've got to start looking for our little successes, forget the negatives, because we spend too much time dwelling on them anyway. So in 7 days, if every day you ate when you was bored, well, let's say you've got, and it was just 7 times, you've got a history of 7 events where you've failed. If one of those events was a success, well, now we've got our first little pearl of success. And then next week we might have 2. Week after that we might have 3, We can start to change it. And it does take a little bit of effort, but, all we're looking for is that little spark of success, that little win, whatever it is. And then we massively celebrate it, because if we don't celebrate it, it will pass us by. We will miss it. So what's being said?
Emma said here, which is so, Craig, you mentioned a boot camp to make one habit change a day, and I believe concentrate on that for a few days before introducing more, as it takes time for that new habit to reinforce. this is what I am doing each couple of days, and I've been since I got home. Well done, you.
It's about, I always use the like, analogy of if it being a dial where you just turn it bit by bit, and eventually, suddenly you'll find yourself living like some kind of Buddhist monk and all that. So, no, don't worry about the exact words.
Can I add one more thing to build a history of success? Something that I believe really strongly in, and it's one of the most powerful things you can do every day, is express gratitude. And that's, you know, when you go to bed at night, or Greg, when you're driving along in a lorry, every day express gratitude. Be thankful to whoever. For me, it's the universe and my angels. Those of you that know me will know that. But, you know, be grateful for the good things in your life, because this is a practice of positivity. And it's a wonderful use of positive energy. When you're expressing gratitude, it's not possible to be negative, because how many times do we go through our days thinking, oh my God, this is horrible, that's horrible, this is not fair, I can't stop doing this. And we miss all the good things, because good things happen to you every day. I guarantee it. Acknowledge them, express them, and that will start building an awareness and a history of your successes that you've not been aware of.
Guys, I've got to say, you know, we're 45 minutes in of a 50-minute training. We're on like the first level. What I want to just tell you, if you do need to rush off, you will be able to get a replay of all this, and we're going to carry on going until we get through this, okay? So I know you'll stay, but if you do need to dash off, then you will get the replay. Okay, next one then, after you sort of start to build this history of success and we start to change momentum, we talk about attracting results. Now, for many years, you've probably been chasing results. You know, you've been out in the garden, like if you was trying to catch this beautiful blue butterfly there, you've been dashing around trying to catch this butterfly, expelled loads of energy, loads of friction. It keeps flying away. You never quite get it. And what we teach on the Kung Fu program is, hang on a minute. Imagine if you acted like a flower and the butterfly came to you. Imagine if you acted like the person that wanted these results. Therefore, the results would come to you. And this is what Paula was talking about before, of, you know, be something. Don't do a diet. Be somebody that makes a smart food choice. You know, and it doesn't have to be 100% of the time. It just needs to be once to start, because once can become twice, and twice can become 3 times. And that's kind of how we get out of this rut. But it's attracting these results. Amanda, like you do, you know, make sure you are that one that's in the gym, you know, or you're waiting for the gym to open on Christmas Day, or whatever it is. But, you know, think about, if I want these results, how would a person who already has these results be acting? Greg, you know, if it's like I have a problem when I'm sat bored, I'm eating, what would somebody who that, you know, would control their weight, control their eating, what would they do when they were bored? How would they act? And that's what we need to replicate, because that is what's going to bring us the results. We can't just sit there dreaming about the results all the time. You know, there is a universal law of cause and effect. There's going to be a cause for certain effects that you get. And it's much easier to attract these results rather than try and chase them down. Paula?
No, I agree, and I'm not going to keep wobbling on.
When you said no, yeah, some sips of water, that's already a start. You've gone
Absolutely.
From a belief of I'm bored, I eat, to I'm bored, maybe I'll try some water. And it's a start, Greg. You know, and it's not going to be, you know, this thing, cured. Oh, angels open up and Greg's cured. But it's a start, and it's about getting out of the rut. You know, it's about slowing that momentum, changing it, and then once you start getting these better habits in there, then going full force with them. Okay, the final one then. There is only 4. Oh no, there is 5. Create an exciting future. This is very much about creating a massive reason why that pulls you through life. Like the little girl on the front of the cart there, with one of Paula's hats on, or some kind of jellyfish on her head. It's just like, look at that, the guy's got an orange jellyfish. So it pulls the cart. We're not at the back here doing all the hard legwork, trying to force this cart through life. We've got something so exciting at the front that we're just getting pulled along. You know, whatever it is, it might be your kids or grandkids. It might be, you know, the fact that you've got a holiday coming up and you need to be in your bikini. It might be that you just have this amazing dream of having better health or a better image, or being able to run an event or whatever. Yeah. So it's just about having an incredible why. And as a very famous person once said, you know, when your why is big enough, the how really doesn't matter. you just generate so much excitement in what you're doing. You cannot help but just be compelled to work towards that final goal. And I wonder what your why is now, and perhaps you can share it with us. Why do you want to change these things?
And do you know, because you'd be surprised at how many people come to camp, and one of the first things that I'll ask is, what do you want? Who are you? What do you want? And where are you going? And they don't know.
Yeah, and you kind of say,
well, don't know. They
usually use like a catch-all statement like, I just want to be happy. Well, what does that mean then? What does happy mean to you? What does it look like? If I had to have a big bucket of happiness for you, what would I be filling that bucket with? And it's worth spending some time thinking about that.
Absolutely.
If you take nothing away from this training other than, developing a why, or even realising, becoming aware that you haven't really got a why. You just kind of, that you should go to the gym, or you should sort your eating out and all this. I'm still bursting, guys, with infused excitement from all 5 weeks. Brilliant.
We love Emma. And we'll have our Skype soon, Emma. I did get the message.
Here's a habit for you. I'm not hungry, but I haven't had a dinner yet, so I'm thinking about what to have for dinner. Crazy. Here's a belief. The belief is we must have dinner.
Yeah.
We have a belief that we must have breakfast. Breakfast is the most important part of the day. Yeah. We must have a snack. We must have lunch. We must have dinner. We must. Have you ever sat down around 5, 6 o'clock at night and thought, you know what, I'm not hungry? Why? Why do we have to eat? Because we have this deep-rooted belief that we have meal times and we must eat at meal times. It's rubbish. It's rubbish. Recently I did a 7-day fast. I didn't have any food for 7 days, and it just, there was times when I just didn't want food. Something to think about. Okay, so that is the first level that we talked about, belief change. Now we want to talk a little bit about habit change. Frustrations again that we said about habits. First of all, habitual thoughts are not worth it. It's never going to be different. We have these habits of just straight away thinking about these particular negative thoughts. Any examples, Paula?
No. The first thing that's come to my mind now is so many people, again, especially people that have issues around food, have had things happen in their childhoods or been told things in their childhoods that they bring through to their adulthood, and they're really strong core beliefs.
Yeah. So what you're saying is like somebody goes, right, I'm going to work on myself now, and then something from their childhood goes, no, you're not worth that.
Yeah.
You need to look after your brother. You need to, and you develop this.
Sometimes they're worse than that. So, you can be told as a child that you're fat. You can be told as a child that you're ugly. You can be told as a child that you're useless. And you believe these things, and they determine the whole of your life. No, I can't apply for that job because I'm fat. And, people of authority have told you this when you're a child. You believe it. You believe it with every ounce of your soul. Well, you were an ugly baby.
Thanks for that. You're supposed to say, well, you're beautiful and we love you. Okay, the next sort of most common frustration is like these habitual emotions that we have. And sometimes what I've seen is we get into this cycle of, we know that if we get sad, that is an excuse to go and have some crap food, some sugar, some binge or whatever. And what I've seen is people habitually create sadness in their life to justify going and having a binge. Oh, I'm sad now, poor me, go and have a binge.
Well, yeah. Do you know, I did something today, which thank God I was aware of, but I had a pretty rough afternoon. Craig and I had to tackle something that was quite emotional to both of us this afternoon. And after it was finished, I walked straight into the kitchen, and the chef had been cooking the paleo pancakes for breakfast on Friday morning. I picked up a paleo pancake and shoved it into my mouth. I then realised what I'd done. I'd eaten on my emotions straight away and had to say to the chef, I'm really sorry, your pancake is wonderful, but I have to throw this in the bin because I have just acted out a really old habit. Can
I just put in there? Guys, if you're listening to this, which obviously you are, otherwise you wouldn't hear it, but imagine being empowered enough that when you put some crap food in your mouth unconsciously,
not that our paleo pancakes crap food,
it's quite profound this. You put a pancake in your mouth, being able to spit it out and consciously and logically and detached of emotion put it in the bin and reverse the decision you've made. Imagine that. Imagine the freedom from food in that manner. I would challenge any one of you to beat Paula in a binge eating contest when she was in her binge eating heyday, right? You just wouldn't. It was horrific. It was, you know, as a husband, you know, just watching this woman who I love deeply, like go through these, like, you know, these habits. It was horrendous. And Paula's changed that. She's changed it all. She no longer is controlled or smothered or guilt-ridden because of food. You know, she's changed it. And if Paula can do it, you guys can do it. And, you know, seriously, and Paula's it's just steps, isn't it?
It is just steps, and it's a belief that life is better without it. Yeah. And that's, you know, Claire, Greg, everyone that comes to camp or does, you know, this program, that's what we'll talk about, your why. So Claire, you have homework. I want you to think about your why before you come to camp.
We're not talking about okay.
I know we're not talking about that.
Yeah.
But.
Okay, next common thing, you know, we all have activities and reactions that are not helping us. They're negative, you know, and you start this chain reaction. And I put reactions there because, you know, you say them again quite often. You know, we've all got crap events in our life. Things. Homework. We've all got things that go wrong in our life. And like Paula today, where it was quite a horrific. Well, it wasn't horrific, but it was not nice thing that she had to go through. She made this conscious act or unconscious act of eating sugary food that was going to give like a nice, short, very quick, warm, sweet feeling. And you know, and luckily she reacted in a great way. You know, she kind of, right, enough's enough. I don't need this as food. I don't need it as fuel. I can get rid of this. Quite often, and your reaction in the past would have been, give me more. You know, in fact, that's not enough.
Gone to Asda.
Yeah, other supermarkets and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so how we're dealing with it. Nice quick one. We want you to tear up your habits. So we've got a little acronym that we use, which is TEAR: thoughts, emotions, actions, and reactions, and kind of think about them. And we basically want to turn the habit of thinking I can't to the habit of I can. So with regards to the thoughts then, we need you to learn to think more positively and quit bullying and beating yourself down. How many times do you do that regarding food? You know, we have these negative thoughts which are just, you know, destroying any momentum towards success.
Can I add things?
Of course you can, yeah. So it's just time.
I know it's time, and there, you know, there's weeks and weeks and weeks of learning and practice here. But just for each of these things, I'm just going to give you one simple thing that you can take away today to do.
Yeah.
And so for thought, so learn to think more positive and quit bullying and beating yourself down. All I want you to do from tonight onwards is practice gratitude. Start appreciating the wonderful things in your life and appreciating the wonderful aspects of who you are, the wonderful person that you are. So the first one for thoughts and being more positive is gratitude.
Yeah, and you might be thinking, well, there's not a great deal of positive in my life, but there's got to be something, even if it's like, you know, what will you accept as being positive? It might be a freckle. You know what, freckle, you're not too bad. You know what, I've actually got quite a nice back molar tooth, you know what I mean, or a nice thumbnail. Or I quite like that light switch. It's pretty, you know, nondescript, but it does its job. And
Craig, we're pushed for time.
Yeah. But, you know, so that's how it kind of looks, you know, the smallest thing. And every day. E is your emotions. Learn to control your emotions. Emotional eating and the drivers that drive you to eat food is like a self-soother. And trigger activities such as guilt. Okay, we need to do that. We need to learn to swap activities, so perhaps eating when we're bored, that are not serving us, into positive behaviours that support our goals. You know, what if we copied a person that had the results we want? What would they do in that same situation? Copy that, we're going to get the same results. And the R is our reactions. So learn to react to life events in a more positive manner and recognise your wins, which is the example that we gave today. Any sort of questions on that? We've got another little case study there. We talk about Adam. We're going to talk about about reactions to events and all this kind of stuff. You know, Adam had some pretty horrific habits that brought about the results that he had in the past, or the life that he lived, and he completely changed those habits?
Adam had it, and Adam won't mind me telling you this because it's out there, and he tells people about this now himself. But when Adam came to camp, one of the biggest drivers to him being overweight was smoking weed. And he'd smoke weed in his bedroom, chill out, get the munchies and just eat, and it became his life. That's what he did. Smoked weed, and it got to the point that he didn't leave his bedroom because he was full of guilt, he was full of shame, he wouldn't even see his parents, he stopped going to university, his life had just completely closed up. So Adam not only had to deal with his addiction to food, but he had to deal with, weed as well, and that's something that we went through at camp. And look at him, another proud.
Greg, I got your question there about your 5 lads. That's enough to make anyone eat. But what I would say, what I carried, and I'm pretty sure you resonate with this, is my mum used to say, right, eat everything on your plate. Well, let's not create that belief in our kids. You know what I mean? Tell them if you're not hungry, you don't have to eat it. That's fine. I know there's starving kids in the world, but this is the UK, and we're going to be all right. And then, just it's that belief about over-consuming.
Yeah. My answer to that, Greg, was actually no. I don't think there's anything wrong with. In fact, I think it's really good that you feed your kids at the same time every day because that gives them structure. But one thing, as a coach, that I hear from people so much is where they've been almost made to feel guilty if they don't eat all of their food. Eat all your food. They're starving kids in, when I was a child, I used to hide all my vegetables under my potatoes and then kind of feed it to the dog because I wasn't allowed to leave the table until I'd finished my food. And that does create, issues with people. It comes with love from us, but it can have, eat when we're hungry, and that's it. That's our time to eat. It's not a massive problem to feed your kids at a certain time. I think that's a good thing. It gives them structure and it gives them boundaries. But yeah,
I would encourage them to leave something on the plate. Choose something, leave it on your plate, and kind of avoids that overeating.
Mind you, lots of kids then just want the dessert after.
Emma's got to go, so she's saying goodbye. So we'll catch you. Emma will make sure the replay comes out to you as well because there's a few more things to come as well after this.
Emma, also I'll be in touch about our Skype chat.
Okay, the next one then. So we've done belief change, we've done habit change. The next thing is life change, and like this butterfly going through the change there from caterpillar to butterfly. We are humans, and we are, although we're creatures of cycles, we are also creatures of change. I mean, we age, we move house. We really. Lots of things changes. Our values and beliefs change throughout life, So if anything, we are meant to kind of change. The big stresses that we have here is we're usually kind of quite stressed. The big frustrations, we're quite stressed because of work, we're sleep deprived because we work long hours and all this kind of stuff. That affects our life and our relationship with foods in many, many ways. We feel drained because we're usually operating on peaks and troughs of energy, big peaks of energy, big drops of energy, and all this kind of stuff, and we often feel drained. That compels us to eat sugar and things where we're going to get a bit of a fix, and energy drinks and all this kind of stuff. And then the other one is guilt, guilt generated by people and things and activities and all that in our life, where we kind of feel guilty, and we spoke about guilt already and the destructive nature of guilt. So one way that you can use to tackle this is do what exercise that we do at camp called the Wheel of Life, which is an exercise that Paula runs the guys through, and we basically get them to look at every aspect of their life. So for example, if we pick the green bit out, the family, there will be people in your family that help you to live a healthy lifestyle, to lose weight, to get more active, and there'll be people in your life that sabotage it. And only when you start to assess who those people are can you start to spend a little bit less time with the people that are sabotaging your progress and spend more time with the people that are helping you. It's an active decision, And I know sometimes their family and a belief might be, well, it's family. I can't really turn me back on my brother or something like that. But we're not saying forever. It's just until you're happy with your image or your eating habits and you've got a bit of control. So you can do this Wheel of Life and look at all the aspects of your life and see where you really need to put some energy and what you need to make a priority. Because quite often people say, oh, I haven't got time for exercise. I don't really have time for eating healthy. I don't really have time for doing any kind of gratitude work. But to be honest, there's always enough time in life. Always enough time. But only for the priorities. Only what you make a priority will you be able to, commit time to and find the time for. And I kind of wonder where you're spending too much time. It might be that you're spending too much time on the yellow, the life part, and you're going out and pissing up with your mates all the time, or going out with, for meals, and neglecting some of the other parts. So the wheel of life, and you can Google that, Paula. Google that. And
yeah, there's loads and loads of them. Or actually, if you want, I can send you one. Just let me know. Say yes if you want one, and I'll send you a wheel of life. Guys,
we're coming towards the end now. We've got about another 5 or 10 minutes. What I want to do, what Paula and I are releasing in 7 days is a program where we know there's people that can't give up 12 weeks of their time, and perhaps the money's a little bit out of reach, and they've got family and all this kind of stuff. But we want to get all the teachings and everything that we teach on the Conquer Food program right there in your own living room, on your own screens, and you can kind of work through it. And we want to take you from guilt-ridden sugar addict to food-free fitty. This is kind of what it's about. Before I sort of talk about how it all kind of looks, I just want to imagine if you're failing to lose weight, or you've hit a plateau or whatever, kind of think about that path, trying to crack on and do things in a similar kind of way that you are right now, and how tough that's going to be, how much friction there's going to be there. But think about another path, a different path where it's a clear road with lots of sunshine, and there is going to be real difference and a real change. What I've got on the screen now, this is our Conquer Food model for change. When people come on the Conquer Food program, they go through these 11 steps. This first one's like a starter tile. 11 steps, because what I've been talking about, this belief change, this habit change, this life change, are all levels on the 11 steps that we work people through in the Conquer Food program. Where we, and I don't know what your resolution is like on your screen, but even down this one, we take you, I can't even see myself, from frozen to free when it comes to some people are not quite ready to change, and they just need a couple of little push in the right direction to be able to, to start changing. So we've got this model for change. What we've also got, and I kind of want to show you this, what we call our binge-free freedom finder. We have a pyramid of 4 levels really, where we've got people that are floundering and they're just excessively gorging and eating too much food and not really making any progress. Well, we don't really want to have anything to do with them, because usually they're they're not ready to change. And then at the top we've got people that are like food free, like Paula now, where she has no food does not factor in her life and all this, complete control. What we want, we're looking for people that are rather frustrated. What I mean by that is you're almost, you want to change. You're trying different stuff, but you're not quite making progress, and you or not making progress fast enough, or you've hit a plateau or whatever. Or people that are starting to make progress and want to go to that next step. The sugar still features in their lives, or binge eating still features in their life, and are looking to just go up to that next level of food free. And what you can see here is a very clear path to where you want to be. So that's the kind of the freedom finder and the program. Now, guys, with your permission, I want to kind of show you this new program that we're releasing in the next 7 days. It's kind of made up of 4 elements, okay? And I just want to sort of talk a little bit about the elements that we've got here. Every road to success, and everybody that I've seen in the past succeed, have been involved in what we've called a MAPS environment. And what the MAPS stands for is, M stands for mentoring and coaching. You need somebody who's going to mentor you through the struggles and the tough times that you're going to be faced with when you're trying to make change in your life. So first of all, the mentoring, coaching. After that, you've got to have some accountability. People that sort of, it's completely transparent and make you do the things you're going to do. Paula often says to people, imagine what life would be like if you did everything you said you was going to do. well, if he says that again, I'll punch him in the face. Imagine if you did it, you know, and that's it now. Come Monday, I'm hitting the treadmill. I'm going to do 5 miles a day every day for 5 days. Imagine what your life would be like if you did that. But we don't often do it. And success is about doing the best you can when nobody's looking. If you can get some accountability in there, you can make some incredible changes in your life. Then peer support. The P stands for peer support. People around you that have had the same battles, the same journey, they're battling the same thing. They've got great advice and experience to share with you, and you can get some inspiration and motivation from them, and they can get inspiration from you, and you're in this together. You're part of a community. And then the S, the final one, you need to have the strategies and frameworks that brings about the change that you want. I said before about the universal law of cause and effect, and for every effect there is a cause. And what we have is a proven strategy and framework that brings about the change, in this binge eating, sugar addiction, even, extreme weight loss, blasting through your plateaus, finding the love of exercise, whatever it is that you're looking for. So guys, just, over to you, what are the things, what am I trying to say? Give me a 1 if this, the maps environment sounds of interest. And I'm not, this is not like I've got you like committed to something now, but does it sound, Amanda's got a 1 there, that's brilliant. It sound like something that, would be of benefit to you? Because I'm trying to get a bit of, like I said, we launch it in 7 days, and this is very much about getting a bit of feedback and how it should look and all this kind of stuff as, of spreading the word about it. But let me talk to you about how you would get started and what it takes to win. We're talking about winning from here on in. This is what we're releasing in 7 days. It's the Conquer Food community. It's an online platform where we're going to have made up of all these factors here, and we've got the core training. When we talked about our 11 steps to ultimate change, we've got our core training there, and we're going to break that up into small, easy to digest and easy to implement videos delivered by Paula and I, which you can access online. Okay, so I'm sure you've seen other stuff like this, but it's video course of all these things, very much like this webinar, where it's little snippets of all the great training and coaching that Paula's delivers at camp. Now, the online value of this is 1997. Okay, that's just a number that we would be happy to share that with. The actual value, if you was to come to camp, we're talking $8 grand to 12 grand to get this information before. And obviously, if you can hear our dogs going nuts in the background, please ignore that. Obviously, it's going to be significantly less than that. As well as the core training, we're going to have weekly webinars of Paula and I. They're going to be shorter, and this is quite a long one, but it's going to be 50 minutes, 45 minutes, where we're going to look at your questions, get you out of the rut. If you're stuck at a certain part of the training, you don't quite understand it, you need us to elaborate on it and teach more, then we can do that. And that's what the weekly training is going to be about. As well as the weekly training, we're also going to give you countless worksheets and checklists that you can kind of work through in your own time, which is, is going to help you look at your beliefs, change your beliefs, look at your habits. What are the triggers? What are the routines that you run? What rewards are you getting? Once we know them, we can start to change them. And you'll get these worksheets where you can sit and you can fill them out, and you can do the work that Paula would have people doing in a one-to-one or group sessions in the comfort of your own home. And as well as that, obviously, we will throw in loads of recipes and cooking demos from myself, so that we're giving you some of the knowledge to be able to, eat healthy, create healthy foods, put training programs together, know what exercises you should be doing in the gym, spice up your exercise if you've hit a bit of a plateau and you don't really know what to do next. And as well as that, what I think is perhaps some of the most powerful part is the actual Conquer Food community itself, where it'll be a private group with Paula and I and the other people that you've seen on the clips there, the different case studies. Will be in there to give advice. Every day, if you're in there going, guys, I'm stuck for lunch, what's happening? There'll be someone there that can jump in and offer a bit of advice. Or so if you go, I don't quite understand the bit about beliefs, someone can jump in and you can speak to the people that are in the same boat. And this is where I truly think the value is in this community of like-minded people all battling the same things, all following the same path and all succeeding together. you know, and that is incredibly motivating. To do the usual, you know, if we added all these things together, we're probably looking at about $2,500 for this, but that's not what we're putting this out for, especially in this little video here, because remember that we talked about a little gift at the start. I've got a little bonus for this webinar, and maybe it's for you guys, maybe it's not, but basically, you know, we launched this in 7 days. Some of the content is not there, and for the next 12 to 18 months, we're going to release more content. We're going to give you complete access to all future content that we create in this community, as well as membership for the community. For this price, basically, there's a one-off price or installments there, 3 installments, where you get an annual subscription, annual membership to all these things that launches in 7 days for $199, or if it's a little bit easier, 3 installments of £69. So there's a bit of a saving there if you pay in full. So you will be the first guys into this Conquer Food community. This price is going to go right up. You know, we're going to basically pitch this community to up to 20 campers every week at boot camp. They're kind of screaming out for this kind of support, and you know, all these lessons on their own mobile devices at home. And you know, the community is going to grow rapidly, and the cost is going to grow rapidly. If it is for you and you want to get in on this, then here's the link to go to. It's www.conquerfood.org/launch, and this is a special launch price. And Paula, you've put just 10 places aside, haven't you, for this?
Yeah.
But
do you know what? I also want to do something else, and I've not discussed this with you.
Right.
But there's names on here that I see all the time. There's 4 people that have come to listen to us tonight. We're hoping eventually it'll be thousands. But Greg is a name that I see all the time. Amanda, we love you. You've just been our #1 fan. And Emma, I love so much, and Claire's coming. I want to give these people a week at camp. Craig's just staring at me now. I'm serious. Because Amanda has earned it. We've talked about this already. She's totally earned it, and I found out tonight that she's lost 5 stone. Greg, you're there all the time. We hear Greg's name all the time, don't we? Emma, I want you to come back. I know she can't hear me now, but Emma will come back for a week, and Claire will give you a week to add onto the weeks that you've already got booked, or you can use it to come back later on in the year. The only caveat with this is they need to be taken either January, February this year, or November, December. So January, February, November and December, when I've got the space and I can accommodate it. But I would love, I just want to do it. And I want to see Amanda at camp for a week. I think she deserves, well, I just want to see all of them. And I want to thank them for coming and listening to our first one. And then I think if they've done a week at camp, this is a great thing for them to continue doing.
Okay, so there you've got it. Let's just revisit a couple of things. Obviously, you know, this, like I said before, is the program that you guys are going to work through. You know, it's a proven process. You know, the Conquer Food, every letter stands for some different part of change that we're going to create in your life that leads towards being food free. So Claire's in. That's brilliant, Claire. And this next slide, you know, how do you feel when you become part of this community of these guys that have all completely changed their life and live different lives, got different beliefs, different ideas about who they are and how they're going to be for the rest of their life, and all that kind of stuff. You know, how is that going to feel to become part of one of those? You know, this is going to be pretty huge. So, okay, next slide. I've got a little bit of a welcome mat because I was kind of hoping some of you guys would have jumped in on this. And Amanda's saying I'm lost for words, and I'm literally crying right now, happy tears. Amanda, you know, like Paula said, you've earned it. Claire, you know, wow, thanks Paula, count me in. So kind of welcome on board. Let me just reiterate what it is. $199, a one-off payment, lifetime access to all the future content that we have in this community. all these different weekly webinars and all this kind of stuff. It's exactly what it is. I'm gonna kind of wrap this up now. I just want to find my final slide really of this. If not now, when? If you don't do something to change the habits, beliefs, your life that surrounds you, the people that are around you, and all this kind of stuff. If you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? And if you don't do it now, how are you going to do it? Because how long have you struggled with this? How long have you've been working really hard to change all these things? And if it's not now, when is it going to be? That's my only sort of challenge to you. So Paula, have you got the links there? Obviously, if you to sign up. Any sort of afterburners for people now? Anything you want to sort of share? Oh, dog's kicking off. No, all right.
Just let's do it.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way that anything changes. Nothing changes without change. And so just for today, right this minute, I want you to start being the person you want to be.
Yeah.
And we'll help you along the way. Claire, I'm going to see you very soon. Greg, Amanda, let's get you in.
Greg's in, yeah.
For a
Greg's
week
in.
at camp,
Brilliant.
and then let's continue this. You can do the 12-week program then. I know it's slightly different for you, Claire, but it will just help with what you're doing. You can do the 12-week program at home then, and as Craig says, become part of that community. Because we already have a Conquer Food community. We just need to bring it together into one place now. So yeah, that's it. I'm excited. You'll be our founders.
No, you will, yeah.
Our Conquer Food community.
And it's as much about holding us accountable, to get this coaching and stuff out there as of you guys getting results and that as well. So we've got there. Part of me thinks, can I afford it? Yeah, I know that's the thing. I know it's a bit of a commitment there. But as part of the accountability, Greg, when we look at the value and the fact that Paul has just thrown in £800 worth of boot camp, it's a massive bonus. Like the things you learn on that alone.
I think that helps with the why.
Yeah.
Once you get to camp, that's what will help with your why, and then it just makes it so much easier to continue it then.
Yeah.
And so get your time off work if you can, get your holiday booked in, and get your asses to camp, because you've got until the end of February, and then it won't be November. It'll be November, December.
So what you're saying is it needs to be pretty soon. The summer period's going to be packed up.
January or February, or November and December. So if you want to get it in now, if you can, then do so. Maybe the beginning of March. It depends. I'd have to, nearer to the time. But get your asses to camp, basically. Okay,
guys, listen. It's been incredible. Yeah, massive opportunity it is.
Sorry, just one more thing. Amanda, Claire, I'll see you soon, so we can talk about it when I see you. And Amanda and Greg, email me. Can you just put a yes? You've both got my email addresses, so yeah, cool. All right,
okay, cool, guys. It's been amazing. Little bit of training. I hope you've got value from that. I hope you feel inspired now, and you know that the future is bright. It's going to be different, and I'd really appreciate if if we're going to run these webinars. Hopefully Paula's not going to give away a week of boot camp every time, because we'll be broke. Every week now. So share it, talk to other people about it if you found it of interest. And what I would really like is some feedback. If there's things that we didn't quite explain well enough, or things that could be, we need to spend a bit more time on, or we spent too much time on, or whatever, please let us know, because feedback is the breakfast of champions, and we want to be champions at doing this and changing people's lives. Until we see you again, take care, guys. Best of luck, and we'll see you in the future.
Take care. Yeah, I'll see you soon, and I look forward to your emails.